Mr. Chair,
Moana Mackie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the extraordinary things about this debate has been the extent to which, no matter how people are voting, everyone seems to agree that raising the age won't really make much of a difference in and of itself. And I agree, because in terms of the tools available, in my mind, the age of purchase is the least effective and the least likely to make any difference, despite the fact that it overwhelmingly, disproportionately gets most of the attention. And I want to read out an email I got from a young woman who I know very well, who said she would hurt me if I mentioned her name in Parliament, so I won't. But she said, "Moana, as you know, I don't normally pay attention to politics, but this drinking age debate has me really mad. I don't drink. I'm 18. It's not for any particular reason that I don't drink, I just don't want to. I wish I could give a more scientific, insightful answer so politicians could clone me, but I can't. But I am looking forward to graduating this year after 13 years of schooling with my friends. We've hired a beach house for the weekend, and I was looking forward to my first glass of champagne with mates. Now, apparently my elected representatives think that I need to be punished for the bad behaviour of others, and maybe after today I won't be able to do that. What the hell did I do to you guys? My dad drinks way too much. Are you going to stop all 52-year-olds from buying alcohol based on his behaviour?
52-year-olds!
And you wonder why young people don't engage in politics. Why would we, when the only time we hear from you guys is when we are constantly being blamed for all the world's ills without anyone bothering to talk to us?" And that's from a young woman who I'm very proud of and who I know very well. And I agree with all the concerns raised by people here about the harm alcohol does in terms of brain development of young people, in terms of accidents, violence, in terms of crime. But the age won't make a blind bit of difference to this. It won't at all. And I've read a lot of research. And I've read research from people who say, yes, the age will make a difference. Here's 2 different case studies. But what those case studies never mention are the different demographics of the communities that they're comparing, whether or not there are public health campaigns that are going on in one area that aren't in another. And overwhelmingly, they don't mention a trend. They all look at a snapshot in time which doesn't show the overall trend in alcohol consumption and behaviour. Because this is a highly complex issue, and I urge members away from assuming a causal relationship between alcohol and other factors they may see happening. It's simply not that easy. But alcohol is more visible. There's no question about that. And should we be surprised when we live in the age of video and photo-capable mobile phones, of YouTube, of Facebook? It's no surprise when I went to a party, I could have taken any number of videos or photos of dangerous teenage binge drinking, but I would have had to carry my clunky camera with the clip-in flash or one of those on-the-shoulder video cameras, wait a week for the film to be processed. It hardly has the same immediacy that a mobile phone and Facebook has. So I urge members to take that into consideration when they think about how much more visible dangerous drinking is at the moment. What we need to do, Mr. Chair, is we need to change the attitudes. That will drive the behavioural change, that will change the culture. And I understand that it's counterintuitive, but ALAC's own figures tell us that since the drinking age was lowered in 1999, when there was great concern that the number of young people drinking would increase because they'd be able to get it from their 18-year-old mates, in fact, the number of young people drinking has dramatically lowered. From 80% in 1996 of under 18s to 32% in 2010. We are seeing a cultural shift in that younger age group which hasn't been there before. Why are we not asking why that's happening and promoting that instead of messing about with this distraction which won't do anything except take our eye off the ball? So why did that culture shift happen? It wasn't because the age was lowered. It was because when the age was lowered, the public concern mounted. Suddenly a spotlight was put on an activity that before was ignored or tolerated. Suddenly public health campaigns were rolled out. When I was at high school, no one told me we shouldn't be binge drinking. No one told us that it was bad for us. There were no ads on TV. There were no public health campaigns. It was largely ignored and binge drinking was tolerated. When the age lowered to 18 in 1999, that changed. Suddenly the attitude shifted, and that is what has made the difference. Changing the law in terms of the age of purchase won't do anything. And I urge members to think about that seriously. I want to say to my colleague, the Honourable Leanne Dalzell, that she said they didn't have preloading in her generation. We did in ours, we just didn't have a word for it. We now know that it's called preloading and that we did it, but it was around then, it was dangerous. And the most important point I want to make to members is, and it's a very serious, most important point I want to make to members is the message that we send to young people. Too often in this House, young people are always the problem. We wonder why they don't vote. We wonder why voter turnout, that's the message that they're getting, Dr. Corder, and I really appreciate sincerely your views on this issue. But the reality is, of the 700,000 problem drinkers, less than 10% are under the age of 20.
Dr. Jackie Blue.
Good choice. I'd like to acknowledge Tim McIndoe for bringing a supplementary order paper